So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show. We're so glad that you're here. We're going to talk about something that is just, the internet is on fire. Everybody's talking about it other than what's happening in Washington. Lawyers for Hollywood stars Justin Baldoni, and Blake Lively spent their first day in court sparring over the sexual harassment and other allegations that have erupted surrounding their film. It Ends With Us. In December, here's what happened. We're going to catch you up on it. Lively filed a legal complaint against Baldoni, accusing him of sexual harassment and starting a smear campaign against her. And so Baldoni has denied all of her claims and in response sued her on various grounds, including defamation and such. So the 90-minute hearing turned heated when lawyers for each side, they claimed the other was bad-mouthing their client outside of court. So joining us down to break it down is Charles Latibeaudiere, the executive producer of TMZ. Charles, thank you. Look, I got to tell you, I don't know much about this case. So can you catch us up? How did all of this start and why has it erupted so bigly, to use a word that you know who uses?
Yeah. It's bigly. It's very bigly. Don, I got to tell you, I have never seen a case that it started out, it's a case now, but when it started out, this was just some onset and offset gossip about a battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, who are, of course, the co-stars of It Ends With Us, but he was also the director, which added to the drama here. And what this was, when the movie first came out, we heard all this stuff about creative differences and that Blake was trying to wrestle away control from Justin and that they had a disagreement about how the movie should be put together. And then cut to 5 months later, it erupts into a legal war with, as you mentioned, Blake filing her lawsuit just before Christmas, accusing him of sexual harassment. And then he fires back with a lawsuit first against the New York Times for their article about that sexual harassment lawsuit, and then adds a lawsuit against Blake and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist, claiming that they were engaging in a months-long smear campaign to do him in because she thinks that, her version of the movie is better, her vision for the movie was better, and that they wanted to destroy him in Hollywood. And he says that's what essentially has happened, that he has taken some serious financial losses in Hollywood because of these allegations she's made against him. So now he and his attorney, Brian Friedman, are going all out every day with either a new filing, a new statement, new allegations. And you have Blake not saying as much in response, but still pressing forward with her lawsuit. And then this week we had the first court hearing, first time that instead of just doing this in documents and in statements, they were actually in front of a judge to address some of this, because this is not, we should say, this is not the trial for any of the three lawsuits. This was merely a hearing to discuss what is the proper code of conduct for the attorneys involved.
So the Lively camp, the Lively Reynolds camp, right? They are upset, and their attorneys believe that Brian Friedman, who is Justin Baldoni's attorney, they believe that he is litigating this in public through the press, and they want to stop that. Am I correct with that?
Yes, okay. That is correct. That's what they wanted to stop, and they feel. What's interesting, Don, is so the hearing happened, like you said, it was 90 minutes. It did get kind of testy at moments. But the interesting thing is that at the end of it, both sides were claiming victory. And that doesn't normally happen in a court, right? Normally, one side comes out disappointed and the other is going celebrating. But they were both celebrating. And I think that has to do with they're splitting hairs on language.
Yeah. What was the judge's ruling? Didn't the judge say you can't? Didn't he threaten to move the trial up from March of 2026 to move it up if they didn't stop litigating this in the press?
Yes, the judge did make that threat, and the judge said, "Look, you both sides need to adhere to the code of conduct. I think it's called the New York Attorney's Code of Conduct or something like that. But basically, it says that both sides cannot make comments publicly that could potentially prejudice a
Jury
juror,
pool.
a future juror.
Yeah.
Right.
To damage his jury
Now,
pool.
but it does allow for attorneys to speak to the media, to speak publicly, to defend their clients. So I don't know what isn't that tell me, Don? Isn't that what all attorneys do when they're speaking publicly? They're defending their clients. Now, in defending their clients, could they potentially be prejudicing a future juror? Yeah, of course, right? If,
Yeah.
if someone hears that and then they end up getting called in for jury duty, they may remember what. So it's a weird rule,
Well,
but
I think I get it though. I think what they cannot do is reveal like what do you call it? Privileged material to the press, and or perhaps someone is feeding privileged material that the only way it got out there is that they knew it had to come from someone who was intimately involved, right? Who has all of
so
these, who has knowledge and access to this information.
right. Well, what's interesting about that, Don, is that the thing the judge did not do is shut down this website on Friday night. This is what happened over the weekend. So Friday night, late Friday night, Baldoni's team files an amended
Oh
lawsuit,
my God.
amends their lawsuit against Ryan and Blake, and adds what they called a timeline. And it was literally every email, text, any communication that Justin had having to do with the movie from about 2019 right up until last week. Many years of communication, and it's all in this timeline that they put in the amended lawsuit. And then on Saturday, they launched their own website. It's called thelawsuitinfo.com that lays out all of these
God.
messages, and it's all out there. So to your point, I don't know. That seems like pretty privileged information, and that was that was Blake's her team. That was their argument. It's like, why is they allowed to have this website out there with everything connected to the case? And I guess the judge must have felt like they've already put it in a lawsuit that was publicly filed. So what's the point in shutting down the website? Anybody can go pull the lawsuit, and they'd still see the same information.
It's like a political campaign. It's like a campaign, a White House response team, right? One side puts something out, or one candidate puts something out, and then you got to go back and respond to it. So it's very interesting. But this is a battle of. They are also fighting the court of public opinion because these are Hollywood stars. Their reputations, their jobs depend on, their image. So one can understand that. But that was a pretty slick move, I think, on Brian Friedman's part. But this story. Are you confused now, audience? 'Cause
Yeah.
are you taking notes?
But you're right.
But
It is a very slick move in that they put that website out. They filed the amended lawsuit before the hearing on Monday. They knew this hearing was coming up, and they knew that there was a chance the judge would say you can't do that. And so he put it out ahead of time, and now it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So there you go.
But this is a story, seriously, Charles, has everything because the other players involved, as we said, Ryan Reynolds, who is Blake Lively's husband, and then Taylor Swift is involved because I believe Justin Baldoni is saying that Taylor Swift was somehow present or with
Yes.
them when Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were trying to pressure Baldoni into something to change the
Yeah.
script or something.
Not just present. She was a cheerleader, or as Blake Lively puts it, a dragon. Yes, that is literally how Blake Lively is referred to Taylor Swift and her husband Ryan Reynolds as her dragons. She sees herself as the Khaleesi
Oh my
from Game of
God.
Thrones. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, you know that's another thing that came out. An actual text message she sent to Justin Baldoni saying, they are my dragons. You will see that they fight for me at all times. But don't worry, they also fight for those who I fight for. So this will be a good thing for you that they are so in my corner. And you're right. The way that Taylor came into it, as Justin describes it, they're having a meeting he's having a meeting with Blake Lively at her penthouse, talking about a rewrite she did of a scene. And suddenly Ryan Reynolds walks in. He wasn't as shocked about that because, hey, he lives there. And Ryan saying, hey, isn't this great work that Blake did? Look at these changes. This is great, great. And he's going, yeah, it's good, it's good. Suddenly, then Taylor Swift comes walking in. Hey, I saw what Blake did, and it was amazing. Isn't this great? It's great. And Justin says he left that meeting feeling like the world was against him, and he knew at that point he better go along with what Blake wanted as far as that rewrite, because he felt like he can't stand up to that kind of power in show business. He knows who Taylor Swift is. He knows who Ryan Reynolds is. He knows the kind of power they wield in Hollywood. So he's like, all right, I better go along with this or I'm going to get run over by the train.
It was he believes it was a coordinated pressure campaign from some very powerful people in Hollywood. Right. They coordinated the entire thing. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then are we going to see Taylor Swift, a Taylor Swift deposition?
You know what, Don? That is the key right there. No, we're not going to see a Taylor Swift deposition. You know why not?
Why?
Because this case is not going to go to, it's not going to end up, they're not going to trial. And for that very reason, Taylor Swift certainly does not want to sit for a deposition. Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to sit for a deposition. Blake Lively doesn't want to sit for a deposition. And quite frankly, Justin Baldoni probably doesn't want to sit for one either. Now, he'll say, yeah, let's bring it on. All sides will say, bring it on. We want to do this. And in fact, just today, we had people in Blake's camp telling us she's very much looking forward to having her day in court. And she's going to try this in front of a jury, not in front of the court of public opinion like Justin is. So everyone thinks that they're on their high horse and will say that we're going to court and I want to have my day in court. But the day in court is more than a year away. So everybody can talk a big game right now. They're not going to want to sit for a deposition. You know this, Don. This is like celebrities don't want to do that.
Who wants to sit for a deposition? And then because it never looks good. The lighting is always bad, no matter how much makeup you put on. No, seriously. But who wants all of those secrets out there? And especially if you're a Hollywood person, and I mean, look at how people looked during the Johnny Depp trial, right? No one came out really looking good with that. But this case also, look, as I said, it's got everything. It's also got Me Too. And I don't is Me Too as powerful as it is or as it was in this case, because a lot of powerful women came out to support her. But there are folks who are saying that she made it up. And that's Justin Baldoni in his camp saying none of this is true. And they're actually accusing her of being inappropriate. And they have text messages and film or video from the actual movie to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, as I've heard someone say, Justin Baldoni has receipts on receipts on receipts on receipts.
And he's suing for hundreds of millions of dollars. Is he going to get it?
Yeah, if he actually went to court, went to trial, maybe he would. But I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, he's suing for $400 million against Blake and Ryan. I believe it's $250 million against the New York Times. So a lot of money on the line here. But, like you said, he says he has all of this information, and he's put a lot of it, if not all of it, out on this website. But, what your point about the Me Too movement, when this all started, before it was a legal case and it was just banter about what happened on the set, you had a lot of people in Blake's corner who felt like, she was wronged, and maybe that is a holdover from the Me Too movement where there were people, she wasn't making the allegations, but there were people making them on her behalf. And a lot of people felt like she was wrong based on what they heard. And so everybody was on team Blake. But then people on Justin's side started to fight back and say that this is what happened on set. It has swung back and forth, Don. Like even in our room here, as we talk about this over the months as it's developed, I can point to people in the room who've been like, started out totally team Blake, and then they were team Justin. And then there was this 2 a.m. Voice note, 9-minute long voice note that he left for Blake while they were during production.
An apology, right, for something that happened.
Yes, it was an apology, but some people felt it was kind of creepy in some of the things he said. And so people who were team Justin swung back over to team Blake, and it's going back and forth. It just depends on who's made the latest allegation and how the public is receiving it. So as you say, yes, this is a legal war technically because lawsuits have been filed, but more than anything, this is a PR war.
So who do you think is winning? Who do you think is winning the battle of the public opinion?
I would give Justin a slight advantage at this point.
That's
I
what I
think
heard.
there are
That's what I
the
heard when I was
preponderance
there.
of and also when we're doing TMZ live and we have people skyping in and giving us their opinions, just anecdotally, our straw poll there, what I've seen and heard, more people siding with Justin at this point. But like I said, it's swung back and forth, so it just depends on what the next allegation is that comes out.
We also, I didn't mention, I don't know if you mentioned it, Justin Baldoni is accusing Ryan Reynolds of influencing his agent, getting him fired from his agent in Hollywood. Yeah.
Yes, because Justin, and like I said, Justin says he has suffered some serious financial
Right.
losses, and among them, the fact that his agency,
Dropped him.
his talent agency, dropped him because it's the same agency that that Ryan Reynolds is at, and he feels Justin does that Ryan influenced the agency to make that decision.
What is this,
Is
CAA?
that
Who are they with?
Yeah, I believe it's CAA.
Yeah.
And here's the reality is, yeah, an agency. This is just Hollywood. If they have to choose between one celebrity or another, they're going to choose the one that's going to make them make them more money, right?
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is, I think, indisputably, even Justin would say this, the bigger celebrity in town.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who they would hitch their wagon to.
Just two quick things. The bigger celebrity in town. Now, don't you think this is damaging for everybody involved? Like, are people
And
going to want to work with any of them after this?
it is absolutely damaging to both of them, and that's why they won't
Or even
press
Ryan.
forward and go to court.
Even Ryan Reynolds.
I think for Ryan, I think some people, I've heard both things where people think that Blake, is pushing him around. And then there are other people who think that he's the one who's actually pulling the strings and telling her what to do. I don't know either of them. I don't know which is closer to the truth. But to your point, it is damaging to everyone involved. Taylor Swift, you could say it's not damaging to her. She was just showing up to support a friend. But for the three of them, Ryan, Blake, and Justin, it's not good. And that's why I don't think I've maintained this, that I don't think it ends up going to trial, because as much stuff has come out already, more will come out, and there'll be more ugly allegations. At some point, both sides got to lay down their swords and say, you know what, this isn't working out for any of us. Let's just walk away.
Let me ask you one other thing, because I don't know if you saw this on the TikTok. There's this thing going around on social media about Ryan Reynolds and a fake sort of press outing where someone made posters and got people to, stand out at either where he was going to, some event he was going to, and get autographs and blah, 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 that it was all fake and made up. Did you hear that?
I did not see that on the TikTok. It sounds interesting, though. It sounds like an interesting video.
No,
I think I got to go check that out.
They were examining the posters are all the same size. The blue tape was all the same size. It was the same picture. The markers were all, uniform. And there was a guy who said, I made those for my boss, all of those posters, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then it shows Ryan Reynolds getting out of an SUV and all of the people screaming, Ryan, sign my poster. And yeah, so check it out. I may have given I gave TMZ a story. I'm proud of myself.
Thank you, Don. We appreciate it. By the way, you had an interesting weekend out here. If you want to talk about that, because we had an interesting discussion on the show today about your feud, as it were, with Kanye.
Let me just say, Charles, because you remember you were in that newsroom when Kanye did his thing back, what is it, 2018,
I was
2019?
sitting right next to him. I was right here. He was.
So, and we've seen him on the Alex Jones show touting the, how brilliant Hitler is. We have seen him in the White House with the Make America Great Again hat on, White Lives Matter sweatshirts and all of that. So, he can be erratic, and he is a master at, self-promotion. So none of that bothered me. It didn't bother me that he was a little short with me in an interview. I'm a grown up. That's happened. I've interviewed presidents who've snapped at me. So Kanye West was not a big deal. But that word that he used, right?
Yeah.
Especially as men of color, that is one of the worst insults that you can call someone, is that word. And so that's the thing that took me aback. And that was the only reason I responded. I would not have otherwise.
I get it. I could hear that in your response. And it was clear to me that that's why you were even taking the time to respond to him. I thought your laughter said a lot, said all that needed to be said. And in the middle of the statement, you just let out this big laugh. And it is absolutely ironic and, if not hypocritical, for Kanye to be making those allegations against someone, especially, as you said, when you didn't even do the thing that he was accusing
Right.
you of, which was spreading this story that he got kicked out.
Yeah.
It was the exact opposite. More than likely, it's exactly what you said, that he's just trying to promote himself, and you know he will go to any length to promote. As you say, he's a master of it, including bringing his wife completely naked to walk into the Grammys, and get all this attention that they got this weekend.
People are legit concerned about her.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it after you see that. It's very, because she doesn't do interviews, she doesn't speak. I think I've heard her voice like maybe twice in the whole time they've been together. Um, and so you just wonder, look, if she's making these decisions and wants to do this all on her own, cool, more power to her. But people are concerned because they don't hear from her that this is something he's forcing her into.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I will say, she seemed to be very happy after the Grammys. They had an after party, and she was, grabbed a microphone, was singing, seemed to be enjoying all of the attention. So I don't know whether or not I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that this is all Kanye making her do
No.
something. Maybe it started out that way, but she certainly seems to be enjoying the spotlight now.
I agree 100%. And by the way, I did not get an invitation to that party. So, wow.
That's weird. I would have thought
I
they
would
would.
have
I
been
would have
there.
thought they would have had you right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Charles, I forgot to tell you, I went to an after party and I talked to Snoop and I got some
Oh,
info.
really?
Yeah, I did. We talked, we hashed it out. I mean, we weren't fighting. I said, I just want to know, Snoop,
Right.
why did you do it? And people I think want to know and just tell me. And he talked to me. Basically, he said he did.
Was he honest with you about it, Don? Because I'm puzzled by his response to this. I really am, because I think there's an easier way, a more honest way for him to have responded. But
Yeah.
what did he tell you?
Yeah. He said that he did it because you got to be in the room, and he wants to. He said, "See, you got to see what happens next. I'm not done," but he wants to show and teach Black people how to become wealthy through crypto and whatever. But anyway, that's a whole nother show. I got to run.
Yeah.
Charles, say
Okay.
hello to everyone. Thank you. We appreciate you joining
All
us.
right, Don.
Always, always,
Yeah,
always.
absolutely. Anytime,
All
man.
right. Thank you very much. So Charles Latibeaudiere from TMZ. Joining us now, Dave Aronberg, our Florida lawman. He's a former Palm Beach County state attorney. Thank you very much for joining us, Dave. Dave, what is going on with this? Why was this hearing today so explosive? Tell us about the legal part of this and who's winning at this point, if anyone.
Well, good to be back on another segment of Lemon Law. Have we branded this segment yet, Don?
It's got to be Lemon Law. This is going to be our Lemon Law segment.
I mean,
This
it's
is the Lemon Law segment of this segment that we're doing.
fine, done. And we're talking about Justin Baldoni here because there's so many different cases.
Yes, we are. Sorry, I got carried away. We were talking about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively.
Okay, well, the hearing was only explosive if you expected the judge to stick to the legalities and didn't see all the other stuff that's going on around him. But this judge actually has a TV. He has access to the outside world, and he saw that these parties were trying to try their case in the court of public opinion, mostly Baldoni. I mean, Baldoni came up with a 179-page statement of facts in his complaint. I have never seen that in my years of being a lawyer, Don. And that tells me that Baldoni is not targeting the judge here. He's targeting all of us. He is engaged not in a lawsuit, but in a PR counteroffensive. He sees Johnny Depp as the model, as a way to get the public on your side, where he does not have to go to court like Johnny Depp did. He can do his damage in advance of a trial, where he doesn't have to sit for a deposition, as your previous guest said. He does his work with the paperwork, with the TV appearances through his lawyer, his media appearances. But now the judge said, no, enough. This is either going to be a courtroom battle or no battle at all.
Who has the stronger case here, you believe?
It's interesting. I think as of right now, Baldoni is winning. I judge that from my comments, the comments that I get from my viewers on my channel, Court Authorities. It seems like most people are siding with Baldoni, and that tells me we're living in a post Me Too era where now it's the man who gets more sympathy. We saw this with Johnny Depp. We see this with Donald Trump being elected, even though he was found liable for sexual assault. And now we're seeing it here. But this is not like Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. This one, it really could go either way because it depends on the lens you're viewing it through. Remember that video that came out with the two of them slow dancing? And supposedly that was going to help Baldoni because he was pretty innocuous in his comments. He didn't say anything outwardly offensive or harassing. But you can see Blake Lively pulling back and trying not to let Baldoni kiss her, and instead saying, let's just talk. That is a sign of someone who has been through the ringer when it comes to sexual harassment. So I think if you ask me, I do think that something happened that made her very uncomfortable. It's true they had a staff meeting where they discussed it. So this wasn't just her imagination. But Baldoni has a lot of receipts where you can see why he comes at it thinking, hey, I didn't know I did anything wrong. So this is going to end up, again, being decided by the court of public opinion. I do not think it will go to trial.
Why not?
Because they're already destroying each other. This is mutually assured destruction. They're both complaining already how they're losing money, their reputations are damaged. I don't think a trial will help them, especially when they're already trying the case, right? What benefit added would a trial do when they are already trying this case every day in the press?
Look, man, Johnny Depp was really a game changer when it comes to the Me Too movement, at least in Hollywood. I mean, that was surprising. And this one, when I was in Hollywood, I was in Los Angeles for the Grammys, and I was surprised by the number of people who said, Team Baldoni, I don't believe it. And usually it's just like, I believe the woman. And that's just what I'm hearing. And I'm hearing it from people who are in the business, talent agents, those kinds of people. So that's interesting,
Brett Kavanaugh sits on the U.S. Supreme Court. He had someone seemingly credibly accusing him of rape, but many years ago. So he's on the Supreme Court. So we're seeing this over and over again where men who are alleged to have behaved badly still get to attain high office or get to win in the end, like Johnny Depp.
Yeah. I mean, but look at the allegations against Pete Hegseth and what have you. So in this environment, it's real. It's not just in Washington, D.C. It's also in Hollywood that folks who've been accused of things are, it's not really affecting them. I want to ask you, this is the interest. So that's all Hollywood stuff, right? Which is very interesting and intriguing. But the interest for me here comes with suing the New York Times and suing news organizations. And, New York Times versus Sullivan, it makes it very high. It's a very high standard for defamation for a celebrity or for a public figure. I believe that needs to be reexamined because it just, in this time where, social media and you can spread things, it's too easy for people to make up things that are not true, right? And write things that are not true. So I think it needs to be reexamined. But that's certainly interesting that he's suing the New York Times. Does he have a chance?
No. By the way, I agree with you. I do think that the standards need to be reviewed, especially because it's so hard to sue a newspaper. Even if they lie about you, if you're a public figure, you've got to prove something more. You've got to prove a reckless disregard for the truth. You've got to prove malice. And that's really hard to do. So, no, I don't think it has a chance. But his lawsuit against the New York Times is like a bumblebee. You know why I compare it to a bee?
Why is that?
Because once it stings, it dies. That lawsuit was filed. It stung. He got the media attention. After the cameras are turned off, that lawsuit's going to die.
It's going to die. So you see this, you say it's not going to go to court and they're just it's mutual destruction, assured mutual destruction. So at some point somebody's going to wave the white flag and they're going to call all of this off.
Oh, no. This is where their PR team comes in. They will both save face. They will have an agreement where both walk away Donald Trump style and declare victory, even though, Mexico is just doing something they promised to do under the Biden administration, and Canada is putting a
same thing. He said Canada is saying, hey, this is the same proposal I said weeks or months ago. So It's a show.
I have here peace in our time. Neville Chamberlain. Don, this is a tour de force. We went from Justin Baldoni to Donald Trump to Neville Chamberlain. Who else? Blake Lively. I mean, this is pretty expansive.
We went Blake Lively, and then with Charles, I went. We did Kanye West, we did Snoop. We did the whole thing. So yeah. Hey, thank you, Florida Law Man.
Thanks, Don. Great to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us on the Lemon Law.
Love it.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.